and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first time you are joining me. Some of you may know, some of you may not, that I started this YouTube channel in August 2018, and for a long time, for a good few years, I was very involved in the tarot tube world. I was regularly uploading content and I was engaging in comments and a lot of other content. I was, having regular conversations and things with people. And then for one reason or another, I took a huge break and I didn't really upload content for a very long time. And the landscape of TarotTube especially has changed a lot in that time. I am back and I'm uploading content, and I'm enjoying just joining in with tags and talking about the kind of things that I just want to talk about and getting to know people again, and hopefully getting a bit more active in comments and videos and stuff. But I thought, just for fun, I might do a reintroduction video, but with a slight difference. These are things that you may or may not find interesting about me, but they're the kind of things that I find interesting, and about other people, not about myself. That would be really weird, wouldn't it? But they're the kind of things that I feel like give you an insight to who I am or how I try and show up in the world. And they're not overly serious, but they're a little bit more serious than the norm. Hopefully you'll find some value in this. Some of you may even join in and do your own versions of this, or comment below if you have stuff to share on any of these things that I'm sharing or whatever. But it's just a little bit of fun for me mainly. So the first, I've got 5 things that I want to share with you, and there's things that I want to talk about in each of those 5 things, which will all become clear as this video goes on. First of all, again, some people may know, most people probably don't, I am a life coach. I do have certificates in life coaching. I have done some work with clients. I'm not a practicing life coach at the moment. I don't have a business or anything, but I have done some work with clients and I've done my own life coaching stuff. And one of the things that I am very big on and a big believer in, and one of the things that when I do my own coaching is one of the things that I like to do right from the off with my clients, is talk about core values and what our core values are, because I think those are the things that kind of underpin who we are and how we show up in the world and how we try and live our lives. And so I thought I'd share my 5 with you, my 5 top core values. These are I'm not perfect. I'm fucking human, people. I ain't perfect. So I don't always manage to live my life in alignment with my values, because that's part and parcel of being human and existing in the world. We're all trying to do the best that we can, but we all fuck up. So, but what it does mean is that I know that when I do something and I feel embarrassed or ashamed or upset about my actions and my behaviors and the way that I've reacted to something or the way that I've chosen to go about something, usually it's because I'm out of alignment with one of these values. And so my core values are kindness, integrity, humility, personal responsibility, and personal growth. And those are the things that are, they're the values that really matter to me the most, and they're how I try and engage with the world, engage with the people in it. It's the things that drive the decisions that I make and the way that I choose to prioritize my time. All of those things that go into making Heather Heather are underlined by those 5 core values. I don't want to go into them in too much detail because I'm sure that you all understand on some level what all of those words mean, right? So another thing that I wanted to share with you is kind of off the back of that, but is a bit more, not quite so core, but just things that I have come to believe over time are important, and that I recognise that are important for me, again, in how I choose to engage with the world and how I choose to show up and the type of person I want to be. So firstly, I believe that it is important to have good boundaries and to understand what boundaries actually are. Boundaries are not about telling people how to treat us, or telling people how to behave, or telling people anything really about who they are and what they do. They are a way for us to choose how we engage with people. Like, my boundary is X, and if you choose to ignore my boundary or cross my boundary in some way, I then have a responsibility to decide how I'm going to deal with that and how I'm going to respond to that. And I think that kind of digging into boundaries and understanding what your boundaries are, and understanding how to recognize when your boundaries have been crossed, and understanding how to respond to that in ways that I personally think for myself are appropriate, is a huge part of what I try and do and how I try and live. The next thing is that I think it's really important to ask for what you need. And I do this as much as I can in the kindest way possible. So an example of this is, I have a very good friend who is, by their very nature, someone who likes to give advice, and they like to fix things, and they like to be helpful. And sometimes you just need to rant, right? You just need to let off steam and say what you need to say. And there was a period of time where I would rant and have my, oh, I'm so angry, blah, blah, blah. And he would try and fix my problem and give me advice, and I would get more frustrated. And what I learned is that it's really important. I did it the first time I did it, it changed our relationship, and we function really well together now. And I will say to him, I will, get in his car, we're going out for dinner or whatever, and I'll get in his car and I'll say, this thing happened to me today, and I'm really frustrated about it, and I'm really, I have all of this, all these emotions about it that I need to talk out, and I need to get out of my system, and I need to rant. But what I need from you right now is for you to just listen to me and hear me, and not try and fix anything. I don't need you to fix stuff. I just need you to listen. And he's like, okay, great, got it, go. And then I do what I need to do. And it just has solved so many problems in the way that I relate to people, by just being able to say to them, this is what I need from you right now. And they can choose to acknowledge that and accept that and give me that, or they can not. I don't believe in forcing myself on other people and my desires and my wants on other people. People can show up in the world however they want to, but I tell people what it is that I need from them, and they can choose whether they want to deliver that and whether they're in a place to deliver that or not. Something else that I believe is very important is some element of shadow work. And I think that kind of comes from the whole personal growth thing. I think digging into the shadows is just a part of personal growth, self-exploration, self-acceptance, all of that kind of lovely jazzy stuff. Something else that is very important for me that I try and live by is to give people the benefit of the doubt. I always assume that people have the best of intentions until they absolutely categorically prove that they don't. And I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes we say stuff that is stupid or shitty, or, we react to something in the heat of a moment, or we think that we're being very clear and we're not, or we behave in a way that seems really cruel and selfish, and actually it's just because we haven't thought through the whole possible consequence of our behavior. We just haven't thought about it at all. And I always try and assume that people have the best of intentions until they categorically prove to me that they do not, in all situations. I don't always manage, but I try very hard to give people the benefit of the doubt as much as I can. And then the last thing that's very important to me is recognizing that when I say that personal responsibility is a value of mine, that doesn't just mean my personal responsibility, that means everybody's. And I am personally responsible for myself, and I am not responsible for other people. Other people are not my responsibility. That doesn't mean I get to go around being a dick, but it does mean that I do not get to take away somebody else's right to be personally responsible for themselves. I don't know how to explain that better, but hopefully that makes sense. So I just wanted to share with you some life lessons, 10 life lessons that I've learned in the 40 years that I've been on this planet that are the best lessons for me, that have in some way or another changed the way that I think about things, or the way that I behave, or the way that I relate to other people, or the way that I show up, or, you know, it's just changed me in some way. So, and I'm not going to go into too much of an explanation for each of these. I think most of them speak for themselves, but I might have the odd thing to say about one or two, but probably not. So the first one is life-changing. This was life-changing for me, is that fitting in and belonging are not the same thing, and it's much better to belong than to fit in. Life-changing. Life-changing. The next one, which I love, is that nobody really has a fucking clue what they are doing. Every single one of us is making this shit up as we go along and hoping that it works out, generally. Some of us are better at making it look like we know what we're doing than others, but in general, most of us are guessing. The third thing that I have learned along the way is that life is never really black and white. There is always nuance to be found nearly always nuance to be found in most situations. And life is just much more pleasant if you allow yourself the space to look for that nuance and try and understand it. Even if you don't necessarily agree with everything within it, life is just generally, I find personally, more pleasant if you allow yourself to look for the nuance. The fourth thing is that nobody is thinking about me anywhere near as much as I actually believe they are. Again, this was liberating for me. I have social anxiety, very, very deep social anxiety. I have for a very long time dealt with an overwhelming fear of being judged by other people, to a point where I would overanalyze every single minuscule interaction that I had, everything. Overanalyze everything to death. Convince myself that people were thinking things about me and talking about me, and, you know, that I was on other people's minds 24/7 because of the silly thing that I said like 4 years ago when I met them for 10 minutes. Other people are not thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. It's life-changing. The next one is that the world is constantly going to try and tell me who I am, but that doesn't mean I have to listen. The next one, big one, big one. Again, I'm a bit of a gossip, and I do like to be part of stuff, so it's quite easy to get involved in conversations about things, about other people and stuff, right? If you're not careful. But ultimately, one of the things that I've learned is that other people's lives are, for the most part, none of my damn business. None of my business. I don't get to decide how other people live. Two big ones that kind of go together. I am not always right. Shocking, I know. But I am not always right. And the other one, life is not always fair. And just accepting those things have made life, again, more bearable, because I can go into most situations now with the knowledge that I might not be right here, that I might end up getting my ass handed to me because I think I know something and actually what I think I know is wrong. But being wrong is not a huge deal, because I know that sometimes I'm going to be wrong by the very fact that I know that I'm not always right. And, you know, sometimes life sucks. It is what it is. Sometimes life just isn't fair. It sucks. It's not my fault. It's not necessarily a result of something that I'm doing. It just is not fair. And again, for some people that's something that they find very difficult to live with. And I totally get that. For me, I find that something that makes life easier, knowing that sometimes it just isn't fair. It just isn't. And I can't do anything about that. So it's easier to accept that sometimes things aren't going to be fair than to rage against everything and try and fix everything. Number 9, my school years were not the best years of my life, and it definitely does get better. I don't know why we tell teenagers, particularly teenagers, who are going through, very stressful exams, lots of hormone changes, very complicated, difficult relationships, especially girls go through some very difficult relationships with other girls where they're trying to figure out where they fit in and where they belong and who they are as an individual while still being part of something. And like, it's a really messy time. Being a teenager is such a fucking messy time. It's horrible. And then we tell these teenagers these are the best years of your life, and you're like, fuck, you mean this is it? This is all I've got to look forward to. It's just going to get worse from here. It doesn't. My 30s have been my best years of my life so far. I'm just in my 40s and I'm hoping they'll be even better. And I have a strong feeling they will be even better because I'm even better off in many ways, not just financially, but in many ways than I was in my 30s. So yeah, it took me to my 30s to figure out that my school years were not the best years of my life, but valuable lesson. And the last one is not everything is about me. In fact, most things aren't about me. And this goes back to other people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. A lot of the time, just because something is happening that in some way feels like it relates to me and my life, doesn't mean that it does. Not everybody is thinking about me, talking about me. I'm the only person who I'm at the centre of the world for is me. I'm the centre of my own world. I'm not the centre of anybody else's. Not everything is about me. Again, for some people that's a challenging thing to accept, and it was for me for a long time, but ultimately I find it very liberating. So there we go. And for fun, I thought I would share with you the top 5 things that I think that you would need to bring into your circle if you were trying to summon me, but please don't try and summon me because I'm lazy and I don't want to go anywhere. But number 1 would be my pets, which is totally cheating because I have 3, but I'm counting them as 1 because otherwise that's 3 of my space is gone and that sucks. So yeah, my dog, Logan, and my 2 cats, Luna and Lottie. I don't know why they all have L names. It wasn't planned that way. I don't have an obsession with the letter L, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's a riddle. It's just a riddle. It's one of those things, one of those crazy circumstances that happened and you don't really know how or why, but here we are. Number 2 would be coffee. I have a big love for coffee and I'm never giving it up. I will drink decaf coffee because, it's the flavour that I enjoy, but I am never giving up my coffee. My phone and or my iPad, some kind of technological device that I can, watch YouTube on and maybe get onto Netflix on and send people messages and communicate with the world on. I'm kind of very close to my phone, my iPad. I'm fucking Apple's bitch. It's at this point, Apple own me. They own me. They have my soul. When I die, they will get it. But yeah, my phone and my iPad. A tarot deck of some description. I'm not really fussy. Too much which one, as long as it's RWS inspired and not Thoth or Pippi Marseille, because not my jam. And music. Any kind of music. Literally any kind of music. I love music. Music is one of the things I am most passionate about. I'm a rocker and a metaler at heart. That is my number 1 favourite type of music. But I like pop, I like dance, I like drum and bass, I like country, I like... Oh my God, I can't even think of any... Actually, if I'm totally honest, my favourite genre, very specifically, is 2000, like the late 90s, early 2000s pop punk. Love it. Love it. But yeah, anything and everything I will listen to. I like folk, I like a little bit of R&B, I like a little bit of jazz, I like a little bit classical. I love music. I feel very strongly about music. I think that this saying is not mine. I've totally stolen it from somewhere and I don't know where. But if emotions had sound, music would be it. There is music for every mood, and music I listen to it every day. I listen to music every single day. I love it. And then finally, I'm going to do, because this is a tarot channel, let's do some tarot for shits and giggles. I have got one deck to rule them all, but because, again, I cheat, and it's my tag, and it's not a tag, but it's my video and it's my rules, so I can. Is it cheating if you're the one setting the rules? Is it really cheating? Probably not. I tend to divide my decks up, so I think about my decks in terms of tarot, oracle, Lenormand. That's how I keep track of them on the Libby app that I have and stuff. So I'm going to do one of each. So this is like one deck to rule them all. So if I was forced to completely strip my collections back and I was only allowed one tarot deck, one oracle deck and one Lenormand deck, because the person who is making the rules of the world says that I can only have one of each and I must give all the rest of them away, or whatever, I don't know. It's like they're gonna save the universe if I give all my other decks away. I don't know why this would ever happen, but let's just say it has happened and I can only have one of each. These are the ones that I would have. So for tarot, it would be my This Might Hurt deck by Isabella Rotman. This is, I think, close enough to an RWS deck that I would feel like I was kind of ticking that box, but it's also very modern and very like just my style aesthetically. It's got a little bit of a comic booky style, which I like. I find it a joy to read with, absolute joy to read with. I enjoy this deck. I get good readings from this deck. It feels more like a world that I actually live in than a traditional RWS does. Yeah, if I could only keep one tarot deck, this would be the one. And then for Oracle, I'm just going to keep talking because I don't want to edit. So that means you're going to have to see some bits of me being a bit while I try and open this deck. For Oracle, I'm throwing it. Oh, I'm making such a mess, I might have to edit. It would be the Sacred Destiny Oracle by Denise Linn. This was the deck that for a long time I was like, I don't really know what I like in an Oracle, but I think I need a bit more and blah, blah, blah. But actually this was a deck that I realised that just a very simple, beautiful image and a word was enough for me. It would either, on its own, it either like really allows me to sit with that word and allow my brain to go wherever it needs to go with the word and the image, or I can combine it with tarot reading and it just adds that little extra level of meaning to whatever it is that I'm trying to read, whether it be a one card spread, like daily spread. Is it a spread if there's only one card, Heather? No, it is not. It's just a one card draw. It is not a spread. You need at least 2 cards for it to qualify as a spread. I don't actually know if that's true, but it feels like it probably is. So I love this deck. I love this deck. This was actually a deck that was gifted to me. I did not buy this deck myself, and it is my absolute favourite. My favourite. And now that I have it out, I think I might keep it out and actually work with it for a bit, because I haven't used this deck for a really long time. And then Lenormand, I don't actually have that much, but the one I go back to and I do read with and have been reading with quite a lot, and was the one I started practicing with, is the Under the Roses Lenormand, which has that kind of old vibe about it, vintage vibe that I kind of like a Victorian. Would you say it's an all Victorian-y type vibe? I don't know, but I like it. Simple. I like the borders on it. I like the particular style. I like the colouring. It's fairly easy to read once you get your handle on the meanings of an almond cards. It's not very easy to hold, but that's a me problem, not the bad problem with the deck. Yeah, so that would be the almond deck that I would keep. So that is it. That is what I wanted to share with you. I hope that you found this insightful, interesting, enjoyable, ridiculous and a waste of your time. No, I don't think I don't hope that you found it ridiculous and a waste of your time, but I appreciate that you might have done. But anyway, thank you very much for sticking with me this long. If you have, I will see you hopefully all very shortly for another one. Take care everyone and lots of love. Bye bye.